Hello, everyone, and welcome to the online Ecotherapy Conference. I am Ariana Candell, the founder of the Earthbody Institute, and I am very excited to be here today with three of my students that have graduated from the certification program, and they are going to share with you the very interesting things they've been doing with their work in the last couple of years. So I want to welcome Beverly Ingram, give us a wave.
Hi.
Ryan Van Lenning.
Hello.
And Adriel McClure.
Hi.
So we're going to start out with a poem from Ryan's new, fresh book, about a week old. His poetry book, his first poetry book published, of one of many. And he's going to start us out with a poem, and then I'll be talking to Ryan first, and then I'll be asking questions and sharing with each of them. So let's go to Ryan, and go ahead, Ryan.
All right. This is a poem called They Circulate Through You. Sometimes all you need is the blessing of the September moon, giving a sermon on change and powerful secret things. Adopted by your heart, they circulate through you. Even when the clouds conspire to play hide and seek. Sometimes all you need is a marmalade, marshmallow sunset or an impossible dawn to circulate through you, like a solar system jamboree. Sometimes all you need is the crisp mountain breath, that living wild offspring of a million manzanitas and unending oak and pine. Adopted by your blood, they circulate through you. Sometimes all you need are the succulent sounds of water gliding and gulping over glistening rocks at the muddy creek, as a reminder of all the flowing things that circulate through you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Just wanted to show this.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it or not, but this is hot off the press. It's called Remembering Poems of Earth and Soul. Only get it if you like earth and soulful things.
That's all of us. Well, I'm glad you're here today, Ryan. It's so nice to see you. And you have a fascinating story that I want you to share a little bit with everyone. Ryan has been living outdoors for over a year and sprouting hundreds of poems, not dozens, hundreds of poems and haikus, and having a phenomenal year, which you're going to tell us about. And so perhaps you can just share with us a little bit of what that's been like and how that has shifted your sense of yourself and your relationship to, to the world, more traditional world, living inside, and anything else you want to share about that, because it's really inspirational.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Well, let's see. Was it not this last spring, but the spring before, I was in the Ecotherapy Certification program with you. And that summer, I decided to move outside under the stars and in the forest and along the rivers. I think it was a trajectory that I'd been on for maybe a couple of years, but I think going through the program and then some natural changes in my life gave me that opportunity to drop deeper into what I felt my soul and my body were wanting, a deeper connection. And so I moved out. It's been about 15 months so far that I've lived out of doors. And I think the biggest thing for me has been I am able to hear the things. I can just hear the things, hear myself, hear my inner voice better. And that I feel more alive, I feel more grounded, I feel more inspired, so I can feel more resourced to bring whatever gifts that I have back to the world. And we might get into a couple of those, but it's been it's been an inspiring year. It's been the most spectacular year of my life, I would say. And yeah, I'll just stop there for right now.
Yeah, well, it's been fun to witness your journey and visit you a couple times, and definitely, I've never met anyone that's done this before. I don't think there's too many of you out there. So, why don't you tell us some of the gifts that you received? Because I know there's a couple of really specific things you feel like you have integrated and you're probably carry with you for the rest of your life.
Well, the first thing is it gave me an operating premise, which is around, I would say, human wholeness. I guess I believe now that we are not just part of nature, but we are nature, we are of nature, and that we actually need that relationship. I call it it's been called the I-thou relationship, or that reciprocal relationship where we're having a conversation with ourselves and with our surrounding nature. And I believe that we need that spaciousness and that conversation to be our biggest selves, our biggest psyche. And that, for me, that's where the healing comes in. That's where our holistic health comes in. And I've just really am more aware of that and embodied that. And when I remove myself from that, I can feel very clearly where I begin to shut down. And I think that's probably something we can all relate to. The things of the world that speak to us, the million and one things bombard us with messages. And for me, living this lifestyle has allowed me to be more clearly aligned with that listening of the authentic voices that I think each of our psyches or souls, or whatever word you want to use, listen to that and then bring that to cultivate the gifts. And the two primary things that I feel like I bring back from that experience is, I guess I would call it, well, the one thing would be just guiding, but it takes two forms. One is in the form of writing and in poetry. So the voices from wild nature and from my own wild soul coming out in that form, and then guiding, what I call inner and outer wilderness guiding. So those two forms of guiding as my offering at this point. And I feel like it's just more grounded and more alive when I'm living this lifestyle.
Can you describe the sacred pause, because you haven't named that yet, and I just love that phrase, and I think it's really helpful for folks to remember that.
Yeah, I use this phrase. It's not uniquely my phrase. I think Tara Brach also uses this in the context of Buddhist meditation teaching. I use it a lot to, essentially, the idea is we simply often need to give ourselves permission to take a sacred pause. That is to slow down with nature as an ally in order to become more settled and grounded and aligned with our own selves. Look, can I just tell a brief story from just this week to give an excuse? So I started a Wild Nature Heart chapter up here in Humboldt County, California. And I often do full moon hikes. And so I just put it on the calendar and people showed up. Basically, the idea is I'm giving people the permission to take a sacred pause with the moon. And what they told me, a lot of people told me, was like, we've been wanting to do this. What a great idea. We love the moon, but we never did. And then it's just this, it's really easy to reconnect like that, just to give yourself and give other people permission to connect and slow down. And that's what we did. And people seem to get a lot out of that. Just a simple thing, just go out. This moon comes and visits every month. Let's go take a sacred pause with it. So, and there's countless examples of that, but the idea would be, we're going to take a pause within the busyness of all the demands and all the duties. It reminds me of that old Buddhist meme. If you're busy, if you're busy, take 10 minutes to meditate, but if you're really busy, take an hour to meditate.
Great. Oh, well, thank you for all of that so far. And I have joined you on a couple of your workshops and weekends and meetups. And if anyone is ever, nearby where you are, I highly recommend it. You're moving around different places in California, so they'll have to catch you. But I want to give one shout out to Ryan and Katie, his partner at Wild Nature Heart, did a poetry workshop about a year ago. And I'm not a poet. I don't hardly ever write poetry, but the way we did it outdoors in nature with the connecting to nature as how the poetry came through has become a really beautiful, beautiful nature practice that I do, definitely a couple times a month. And it has been something that's helped me to really feel and connect and stay with whatever I'm with outdoors. So I highly recommend your poetry workshops if you do that, and also your deep dives of out weekend workshops to very much immerse outdoors and also have a creative process and a depth process. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what's happening right now with how people could gather with you and learn from you. What are you up to?
Yeah, so the main thing is Wild Nature Heart, and that is I co-founded with therapist and writer Katie Baptist, and she's based out of Sacramento. And we run workshops, retreats, we call it soul-rooted wilderness journeys throughout Northern California. We'll probably be having several weekend retreats over the winter and spring, but the big offering that we're excited about is next June is our 10-day wilderness vision fast. And that's, we're planning it way in advance because this is the sort of deep dive, to use your word, that I think our psyches require to prepare. And if you don't know about Vision Fast or Vision Quest, you can go to our website and find out a little bit more about that. But that's our big offering. And then in the meantime, we have several meetups, and those are more our community offerings, just different types of themed gatherings, either around poetry or slowing down or flowing or grounding or just exploring the local forest and river together and meeting new people. So look for Wild Nature Heart on Meetup for those. Otherwise, go to wildnatureheart.com to find out about us.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, please encourage everybody to check out his work and his poetry. And one more plug for your book. I've read the poems that have been coming through you all year, and they are truly exquisitely out of your experience of being in nature. So they're very inspiring, and they have a lot of depth and breadth. So check it out. Remembering Ryan Lenning. Thank you, Ryan.